Hello, how are you? Can you hear me okay? Because I can't hear you.
I can hear you. It's because they're a participant and they're
Oh,
not allowed to unmute. Yeah.
gotcha. Hi, Commissioner.
Hi, Elizabeth. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you
Good.
doing?
I'm doing well. I just got back from a conference in Keystone, so not just, but a couple hours ago.
Oh,
So,
thanks for doing this. Appreciate it.
oh, of course, yeah, yeah. Do we expect a lot of folks?
I believe at the time Anna said we had over 20 people registered.
Oh,
So
good, good.
as soon as we have people joining us, they're joining us muted. So as soon as we get going and stuff, I guess Anna can help us run that show. I'm going to share the presentation. I just resent Dina the link. I don't know if she was having trouble, Anna, so I just heads up, I just resent her, hopefully the link that I had, if that works.
Yeah, that's fine. She asked for one. I also just sent her something.
Hi, Dina. We're just gonna give folks a minute or so to keep logging in here. Before I start sharing, Commissioner Stevens, you're still gonna go ahead and kick it off. I'm just wanting to make sure that the team is good with me moving forward. I'll share my screen, Commissioner, after you do introductions.
That sounds great. Are we ready to roll?
I think so.
Okay. All right, we'll get started. Well, hello and welcome everyone. I'm Larimer County Commissioner Kristen Stevens. I'm the current chair of the North Front Range Metropolitan Planning Organization. I'm the chair of the Colorado Non-Attainment Area Air Pollution Mitigation Enterprise, the North Front Range MPO representative on the Regional Air Quality Council, and the vice chair of the statewide Transportation Advisory Committee. We're happy that you're joining us today to learn more about the October Intermountain West Ozone Exchange Conference we're hosting in partnership with the Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments. We appreciate you taking the time from your busy schedules today to hear more about the conference planning and to provide us your input. Unlike traditional conferences that center primarily on technical presentations and expert panels, this conference is being designed as a grassroots, community-driven exchange of ideas, data, and lived experience. The Ozone Exchange Conference is focused on building a shared understanding of the air quality challenges facing the Intermountain West states, identifying key issues, and empowering participants to be part of meaningful solutions. So we look forward to hearing from you today. Now I want to turn things back over to our North Front Range Metropolitan Planning Organization Executive Director, Elizabeth Relford.
Thanks so much, Commissioner Stevens. Just before I guess we get into the presentation, is there anybody on the call who is in need of interpretive services? We do have Odalis, am I saying that right? Here this evening to participate if you guys do need service. If not, we're going to go ahead and get started. But first, I want to just thank everybody again for participating, and we're going to go and introduce our planning team. And I'm going to go ahead and start by turning it over to my counterpart in the Pikes Peak area, Andy Gunning. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and the planning team, that would be great.
Sure, happy to. Thank you, Elizabeth. And thank you all for joining us this evening. It's great to see a really good turnout tonight. My name is Andy Gunning. I'm the Executive Director for the Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments. We're in the greater Colorado Springs region, and we're super excited to be teaming up with the North Front Range MPO on this really important event in October. So appreciate your interest. I think I'm just going to go around real quickly and call out other members that are kind of part of our core planning team. One other member from the Pikes Peak area that's with us tonight, Angie Martell. She's our environmental planner here at the Pikes Peak area. In Northern Colorado, let me see, in addition to Elizabeth, Becky Carrasco, the Transportation Planning Director for the North Front Range MPO is with us, and also Annarelli Morales with Weld County does air quality work with the county. A key member of our team is Dina Wojtak. You're going to hear quite a bit from Dina tonight. She's a consultant with Two Roads Environmental, really advising both the North Front Range and PPACG on air quality issues. But super excited. This is something that we've been studying jointly with other regional planning organizations across the Intermountain West and the Four Corners states, plus Nevada, Idaho, Washington state to some extent, because a bunch of us are dealing with the thorny issue of high levels of background ozone and other issues that we're trying to get our arms around and understand the science behind what's going on in our unique circumstances here in the Intermountain West. So with that, unless I've missed anybody on the core planning team, I'm going to turn it back over. I'm going to turn it over to Dina, I believe. Thank you.
Yes. So again, Dina Boytak with Two Roads Environmental. And I just want to close out the question that Elizabeth posed. No one here needs interpretive services today, right? All right, we're going to move forward. All right, next slide, if you would. All right, so tonight we're going to talk specifically about this conference, who's organizing it, and why. At the end of the presentation, there's going to be plenty of times to ask questions and submit comments. Feel free to drop them in the chat as I'm going through the presentation, and we'll be happy to get to them at the end. We've got some contact information here, email and a website, but we'll share that at the end of the presentation as well. And then we just want to highlight at the very beginning that this conference is not going to debate ozone health and environmental effects, the setting of the ozone standard, or advocate for specific statutory, regulatory, or policy changes. All right, next slide. Like I said, we're going to talk about who we are, what we're about, provide details on the conference itself, and then really spend some time on call for abstracts, ending today with the Q&A. Next slide. So primary organizers are the North Front Range Metropolitan Planning Organization and the Pikes Peak Area Council of Governments. Both have significant responsibilities for planning and transportation planning in their areas here in Colorado. And again, they brought in myself with Two Roads Environmental to help organize and plan this conference. We also have a number of sponsors. We have Colorado's Air Quality Enterprise, which we're excited to say recently voted to award us a significant amount of money, $100,000, to help host this conference. And so we're very excited about that. We also have peers throughout the Intermountain West that are metropolitan planning organizations that are located in Arizona, Colorado, Utah, Nevada, New Mexico, Idaho, and parts of Washington and California. And we're relying on their support as well as support from state and local air quality planning agencies, specifically in Arizona, Colorado, Nevada, and Utah, to help us plan and organize this conference. Finally, we are seeking sponsors, and we're going to spend a little bit more time later about that specifically, but we have a few, but we're always seeking more to help us ideally bring more people to the table, to the conference, to hear the information and to engage in important conversations. Next slide. All right, so the conference is being held to provide a forum to share research findings and air quality planning initiatives throughout the Intermountain West. As organizers and their partners were talking amongst their peers, they discovered that other states were also challenged in meeting ozone standards. It wasn't just Colorado. We discovered that each area was the subject of significant ongoing research efforts, and that there was no a great place to share the fact that this research was ongoing, let alone the findings. That coupled with the fact that science, air quality science, has changed dramatically in recent years, and certainly since 2016, the last time EPA held a regional ozone conference. And so it's time to bring people together and talk more about air quality and specifically ozone. So in this graph, what you see is a plot of ozone over time for each of 4 ozone non-attainment areas in the Intermountain West. So there's the Phoenix area, the Wasatch Front area in Utah. You've got Las Vegas, and then Colorado's Denver Metropolitan Northern Range. So those are the colored lines along the top. You also see that plotted against a bar graph, and the bars represent local contributions of human-made precursor pollutants, or pollutants that form in the atmosphere to form ozone. And traditionally, how you reduce ozone levels is you reduce those precursor pollutants. And what you see here, the dark bars represent local human-made oxides of nitrogen emissions, and then the lighter bars are local human-made volatile organic compounds. So traditionally, you reduce those, and ozone traditionally reduces as well. So that is true for 2002 to about 2011, and then somewhere in the middle of that graph, somewhere around 2012, ozone stops responding as expected to continued reductions in those precursor pollutants. And so each of those areas were discovering that and trying to figure out why, and that's why they were undertaking their own research. All right, next slide. So the conference is being designed for a very broad audience. So not only are we asking researchers to come and share their important research and findings with other researchers and air quality planners, but also with key stakeholders that have been engaging in each of those non-attainment areas and those states specific to ozone. And so it's not just the researchers and the air quality planners, but it's also intended to bring in other stakeholders like community groups and environmental groups, as well as industry and trade associations. So we're hoping to bring together, again, a very broad audience. We also are intending to share information amongst those folks that are coming, and educate people on the actual methodology that air quality planning agencies must follow in terms of addressing non-attainment in their areas per the Clean Air Act requirements. It's very methodical on how and there's a structure that they have to follow. And so we want to talk a little bit about that. We also want to educate, or excuse me, we want to understand the unique regional challenges that the Intermountain West is facing. Finally, we want to bring together people to talk about public communications challenges and ideas for improvement, as well as then research gaps. So we're planning for a wide audience and we have a broad set of goals. Next slide. So if you haven't already heard, our conference is going to be held later this year. The agenda is still in progress. I'm going to talk about why that is in just a second. It's being held in Loveland, Colorado. We're still working through details on hotel reservation blocks and conference costs, in part because we're still working through registration and how much money we can bring in to help offset registration costs. Because again, we want to bring together a broad audience. We intend to provide stipends for presenters, as well as scholarships based on need and funding availability. And so we are seeking, again, sponsorships and other opportunities to lower our costs so that we can share and basically in turn set lower registration fees. So those things are still up in the air. If you are interested in attending and you think language interpretation services are going to be required, please contact us as soon as possible so that we can make those accommodations. Next slide. All right, so I mentioned that the agenda is not set yet. And this is why we currently have an open call for abstracts. It is open through June 23rd, and we're seeking abstracts on a number of different topics. So whether it's recent and ongoing studies and findings, as well as data gaps, We're seeking abstracts on unique regional challenges, whether it's topography and weather and wildfire and background, or other kinds of things. We're seeking abstracts on air quality planning, management, policy, and communications, so public communications. And then finally, emerging air quality issues. So again, there's a broad list of air quality topics that we're seeking abstracts on. Again, the deadline is June 23rd. Once we have abstracts in, we will turn around. We have our partners that are going to help us review that and set an agenda probably later in July, early August timeframe. And so I do want to highlight that it's not just researchers that we're asking to submit abstracts. Pretty much anyone can submit an abstract on any of those topics. So please consider submitting an abstract. And if you know of somebody who might be a good candidate to present on an interesting topic, please encourage them to do so as well. Next slide. And so we are seeking support for this conference. I think earlier Commissioner Stevens mentioned that this is a grassroots effort, and there's a lot of pros to that. But one of the challenges we're facing is who are you and why are you hosting this conference again? And so we're just not a known quantity at this time. And so we're asking for help in spreading the word about the fact that we're hosting this conference, what it's about, where they can find more information, and that helping encourage other people to submit abstracts for consideration as part of this conference. I do want to highlight that this conference is being held at cost, and so it's not for profit, and that's another reason why registration costs are still in the works. So we're looking for help in terms of sponsorship, and that's financial support as well as other methods to support our hosting this event. Hosting an event for up to 500 people, as you can tell, or as you can imagine, is going to require a lot of support. And so we have listed a number of sponsorship levels here in terms of financial support. If you're not already aware, those levels are related to Ozone non-attainment classifications. And so there's some intentionality there. We're also asking for folks, if you don't want to present, but you're interested in submitting a poster, I would suggest still submitting an abstract. And then if you have a unique or interesting program, whether it's a communications program or a control strategy or a voluntary effort or an incentive, approach us about seeking a table so you can share that important information with conference attendees. Next slide. All right, so that wraps up the actual, formal presentation. We'd like to transition now into the Q&A part of this presentation. And it's not just questions. If you have comments, we're encouraging you to submit those to us because we're in the early stages of planning this conference. And it's really important to us to solicit input and feedback from others about what they might want to see, hear, know more about. And so we strongly encourage you to share your thoughts, your questions with us, whether it's tonight or you can certainly submit it to us at a later time via our email. But right now, let's transition into Q&A. I'm not sure, were there any that showed up in the chat at this time?
Not at this time, no.
Okay.
There is a hand raised, though.
All right. Jody Bechtel, did I pronounce that right? Can you unmute, Jody?
Hold on. I will get their stuff. Okay. You can unmute now.
Okay, there we go. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
I'm Jody Bechtel. I'm the Deputy Director of the Air Agency in Clark County, Las Vegas, Nevada. And my understanding is you do want a panel from the air agencies to talk about concerns. We do feel we have very regional specific issues and challenges. would you want a separate presentation abstract or just the panel representation?
So at this time, we are planning on hosting a panel of air quality agencies throughout the Intermountain West. So that would include Clark County and folks from Wasatch Front and Phoenix Mesa area, as well as the Denver metro area. So we're planning on those
Yeah.
folks sitting on a panel. We haven't formally, I mean, we've talked to several of them anecdotally. We haven't formally done so. And we are telling them they don't have to submit an abstract because we're already planning that piece.
Okay, and so you wouldn't want a separate presentation done by each of those areas, just the panel? I mean, on particularly the regional, larger discussion issues.
Well, I think the panel that we're envisioning is this is the status of ozone in our area. These are the unique challenges that we've faced. This is what we're doing to better understand it and to address it. So that's the
Okay.
panel. So if you're planning on doing something outside of that, then yes, we would want an abstract.
Okay. No, we have a couple of abstracts in mind, but yes, we'll just plan on participating in the panel if it makes sense,
Okay.
because those are the things I would think would make sense to cover. So thank you.
Yes, yes. That's wonderful news. Thank you. Are there other questions? Well, if not, I'm going to ask us to go to the next slide to try to prompt you. We would love to hear from you what concerns you most about ozone in your community. So whether you drop that in the chat or you raise your hand and share it verbally, we would just love to hear for that about that right now. All right. We can move to the next question just in case people are still typing. We're very much interested in hearing. Oh, great. Thank you, Jody. Jody shares that they're concerned about medium and heavy duty vehicle emission contributions. Yeah, that's a good one. I think there's interest in hosting like a transportation panel as well, especially since the primary organizers are transportation planning organizations. And so I think there's going to be more conversations about that. And certainly if you know of interesting studies or researchers doing studies, let us know or reach out to them directly and encourage them to submit an abstract.
There are a couple more comments as
Okay.
well in the chat.
All right, persistent non-attainment challenges in Clark County. You're not the only one from what I understand, Yusuf. All right, and then, oh, yes, concerned about medium and heavy duty vehicle emission contributions, especially with some changes at the federal level, and that may end up hurting and not helping air quality. So I think that's going to be an interesting conversation I would love to have at this conference. Great suggestion. Commissioner Stevens.
Yeah, I'll just jump in. So we have those persistent challenges in our community too, which is, one of the reasons we decided to host this. And, I think it'll be really interesting to see kind of what control strategies people have adopted or are considering. We've even, talked about with the precursors being different in different areas. Are there different control strategies that work better for even different parts of a single non-attainment area? So I'm really looking forward to getting together with all of you from hearing from folks that have abstracts and posters. And, we're all we're all in the same boat here, I think, in the Intermountain West. And so I think it'll be really great to get together and really discuss some of the issues we've dealt with and how we move forward. So I'm looking forward to seeing all of you. I hope you can make it.
Yeah. Jody, did you have another comment?
Yeah, it was kind of a comment, but it's probably easier to speak. One of the first slides, the table that shows the various areas and their attainment, and there's a big drop. So, that might be an interesting discussion around right there, that one, around, what is that, 2007 to 2011? And I think we think that's federal emission standards on cars. But I'd be curious if anyone else has looked into that, and what caused everyone to be able to drop so significantly in that time frame, and then we've all kind of leveled out since then. So just another interesting area that I don't know if anyone's looked into, but I'd be interested in learning more from folks about it.
Wonderful. Thank you for that suggestion. And again, encourage folks that, have looked into it or are aware of others that have. We would love to hear more about that. All right. So if there's anything in particular that resonated with you today, anything that was said, we'd love to hear about that too. So please raise your hand or drop that comment or response into the chat. And then we will also ask, what thoughts or concerns do you want to share with us as we're planning this conference? What would make it more likely that you would be interested in attending, or you could encourage others to attend? We would definitely love to hear that. Right. We all just love uncomfortable silence, don't we? Hey, we've got a Chris LaPlante. Understanding the disconnect between SIP ozone modeling projecting future compliance, but the measurements it monitors not resulting. I know the Denver metro area has experienced that exact problem. I'm not sure about other non-attainment areas, but we can certainly take that into consideration as we're kind of prepping that panel of air quality experts throughout the Intermountain West to, see whether or not they've experienced something similar. Thank you for the suggestion. All right. So if you think of anything else, again, we're going to have a link and an email. Here we go. So you can find out more information. If you've not already checked out the website, I would strongly encourage you to do that. There are lots of great information about, again, who we are, what we're about, the abstract that I mentioned, the submission deadline, and how to contact us. You can follow us on the social media apps. You can also sign up for to get email updates on as we progress through the planning phase. So as we set registration fees and have hotel room blocks and set the agenda, we will certainly have more information there. And so it's easy to receive those kinds of responses or those kinds of updates. Kelsey, would you like to share something?
Yeah, I had a relevant question, hopefully that might be useful to give an answer to. I'm glad to obviously see a good number of people on the call. So I see, though, a lot of people on the town hall tonight are from our region here in the Front Range of Colorado. And I am curious what kind of outreach is going to be done, maybe directly to a lot of the other, Intermountain West communities to garner interest and further, participation and get that really widespread regional interest in the event, so it's not hopefully just us here in the Front Range attending our conference.
Oh, that's a fair question, and that's a great question. So we do have a number of folks that are not from Colorado, but certainly we have the majority of attendees tonight from Colorado. We are working with those partners that I mentioned early on, those partners at whether it's other air quality planning agencies in the Intermountain West, as well as then the metropolitan planning organizations. And so those folks know who the key players are in their areas, and so they know not only the research that's going on, but they also know who are the stakeholders that are that have a vested interest or care about air quality enough to show up at at their public meetings and engage in their efforts. And so we are working through them to share information, and because we think those folks would probably they would rather hear from people they know as opposed to these grassroots folks that are in a whole different state. So we are leveraging that kind of support from our partners. We are also looking for other ideas on how to engage with stakeholders. So if you have specific ideas, please let us know. But I think certainly leveraging existing relationships is probably the best way to go. And so there's more to come there. So again, if you have any suggestions or people that we should be talking to, we would love to hear that.
Great, thank you.
And Dina, there's a question or a question in the chat about information from the conference getting communicated to decision makers at EPA.
Yeah. So EPA is very aware that we are doing this, and in fact, we approached them and asked them to do it first. They're very busy, and they didn't have the resources to do that. And so we have engaged with them. We've talked to our Region 8 administrator, and I know other air quality planning agencies have talked to different administrators, EPA administrators that in their areas. And so we are talking to EPA. They have been specifically invited to attend. And so we hope to get more support from them, or at least attendance from them, because I'm pretty sure they want to hear about the research as well. All right. So Crystal Plant, we have the same issue. It's largely wildfires. I think I missed something, but wildfires are definitely a topic of interest because they do impact air quality. I know here in Colorado, there's been a number of steps taken by our Regional Air Quality Council to better understand wildfire impacts on high ozone days. I'm sure other non-attainment areas are engaging in similar activities. And so we should hear more about that, but strongly encourage folks to submit abstracts on that as well. All right. Conference registration is anticipated to open in that July-August timeframe as well. And then finally, we're happy to stay around for if you have specific questions or if you want to pose them. But we also can be reached separately through this email address. And so I would encourage you to jot that down. The slides and presentation will be posted to our website within this next week. And so for folks that haven't been able to attend but want to hear a little bit more about the introduction of who we are and what we're doing, you can certainly encourage them to take a look at the posted information or simply reach out to us. So with that, I thank you for your time and effort tonight. And I don't know if Commissioner Stevens or Elizabeth or Andy want to say anything.
I'll just say thank you again for coming out tonight and hearing the presentation from Dina. We are excited to have you here. We're really excited to have these discussions in our region with other people who are facing those same issues. And please reach out if we can answer any questions. As I believe Elizabeth and Dina both said, we are really we know the difficulty of like graduate students getting here. So the idea is to really try to make that affordable for people who are young researchers that don't have the funds to be able to make it here. So we encourage people to just reach out and approach us, and we're going to try to work with folks to make sure that we get a good balance of people and a good amount of research to be able to kind of sift through and really see how we need to approach this problem. So thank you again.
Yeah, thank you for your, sorry.
Well said, Commissioner. Not much to add. Just help us spread the word. We're really trying to get the word out as best we can, but using our strong networks across the Intermountain West with our partners, as Dina mentioned. But yeah, we look forward to seeing you in October.
Thanks for joining us tonight.
Yes, so we'll give you the rest of your evening back. Hope to see you in October.